Hello booktube, this video is pre-recorded and yeah, I'm putting this up as my day 18 of NaNoWriMo, even though I haven't gotten to day 18 yet because I'm not going to be able to film tomorrow. Sad face. So for day 18 I'm going to put up a tag, and then for day 19 I will come back with you with an writing update and all that jazz. And this tag, I wasn't tagged by anyone, but who cares? It's the How I Read tag created by Enya's Corner. Number 1, how do you find new books to read? Now, I usually go on Amazon.com and just do some research, and booktube. Booktube is primarily where I get most of my book recommendations and where I find out about new books coming out, new releases, good books that have been out, so forth and so on. I watch a lot of review videos. They're some of my favorite videos to watch. I know a lot of people love watching hauls, but I don't know, I have to be in a mood to watch a haul, and 99% of the time I'm not in the mood to watch people just hold up a bunch of books. I rather, I'm more interested in book discussion videos and book review videos, and that's how I, find out about new books to read. Now, I recently just started using my Goodreads account a lot more, so I will probably start using that one too. Number 2. How did you get into reading? I got into reading when I was very young. I always had stories read to me from the time I was a baby, and my nanny always used to tell me stories. I come from a culture of the oral tradition of storytelling, where people told stories out loud because a lot of people were illiterate and couldn't read English or even speak English. So storytelling was huge in my cultural background. And then my father is an English professor, so he's always valued books and reading, and he always used to buy me books and read me books before I learned how to read. Then once I learned how to read, I was about 7 years old when we first moved to America. We lived in Philadelphia because my dad worked at UPenn, and I remember my mom would take me and my little brother to the library, and that would be such a treat. We would go in there and I would just be lost for hours picking out books and being so excited about books. So I would say my genuine passion and obsession with reading began when I was 7 and we moved to America, and going to the library was such a treat. Number 3, how has your taste in books changed as you've gotten older? Now, this is an interesting question because my tastes are changing all the time, not just with age, but just with my mood or the particular day. When I was growing up, I read a lot of children's fiction, children's literature, classical literature. I read so many classics as a child. As a teenager, I read a lot of the romance genre. I read so many romance novels when I was in middle school and high school. I also used to read exclusively, there was a period in my life where I exclusively read adult books. When I was in, 7th and 8th grade, I only read adult books, and it can be not argued, it's true, the romance novels are written for adults. So I used to read, those as well. Then there was a period of time in high school where I exclusively read mysteries and a lot of John Grisham, and I read a lot of plays. When I went on into college, you have to do a lot of reading in college, and I read from my major. I was an acting major, so I read a lot of plays, a ton of plays. Also just more academic books for school, and my minor was Africana Studies, so I read a lot of Black plays, a lot of nonfiction books on Black playwrights, Black authors, and just, oh my gosh. So my reading tastes have changed according to whatever season I was in. When I was in college, I sort of had a split personality as a reader. For school, I read all my plays and, all my research books and everything like that. And then in my free time, I would read adult books, primarily adult books, in my free time. So, and once I left college, I started reading a lot of young adult fiction because I kind of skipped that part. As a young adult, I didn't read a lot of young adult fiction. So now that I've, become an adult and I've left school, I all of a sudden am now reading exclusively young adult. Although I do still read adult here and there. So, oh my gosh, that was such a long-winded answer just to say it really just depends on the season I'm in and my mood and, so forth and so on. Number 4, how often do you buy books? This is another thing that fluctuates. Growing up, my father took me to the bookstore, took me to Barnes and Nobles, I would say at least once a week or once every other week or so. So I was buying books often. Then in high school, I was exclusively using the library. My father wasn't taking me to the bookstore anymore. In college, I bought a lot of my own books on my own. I had a job, and so I was able to use my money the way that I wanted to. Same thing with after college. I bought books, but I've never really bought a lot of books. I'm not the type of person to just buy a whole bunch of books and just have a whole bunch of books on your shelf being unread. That actually makes me feel uncomfortable. I like to buy books and then read them. Like if I'm going to go to the bookstore and buy 5 books, I'm going to read all 5 of those books as soon as I get home. You know, they're going to be actively being read. They're not just going to sit on my shelf and just sit there. You know, I don't know. I've never worked like that. So, and now I'm in a period of my life where I'm back to exclusively using the library because I'm trying to really live frugally and save money. I'm working towards my dream of making a living out of being a writer. So my budgeting is very tight, and I just don't have a lot of extra money to just, you know, buy books willy-nilly. So I use the library a lot, and if I read a book at the library that I really enjoyed, then I'll go out and purchase the book. Now with my e-reader, it's a lot easier because there's so many deals and so many books for 99 cents and $1 and $5 and things like that. So it's a little bit easier for me to fit ebooks into my budget. Number 5, how did you get into booktube? I've watched booktube for the past 2 to 3 years now. I discovered it, I would say around 2011, 2012, thereabouts. And I first started watching Bookables, Chapter Stacks. I love her channel. I love her. She's so cool. Chapter Stacks. And who else did I watch in the beginning? Katie Tastic. Love her channel. And Padfoot and Prongs. Who else? Just a lot of those bigger. Oh, Ariel Bassett. I adore her and her channel. I love her. So watched a lot of her. And there's someone else I'm missing. Poland Banana Books. I love her channel, and I love her. Christine. Yeah, she's a lot of fun to watch. So those are the people I first started watching when I first started. And Beth June, I watched a lot of her too. Just so many people. And, you know, I've always wanted to make book videos. It just never seemed like the right time. But you know what they say about life. Timing is everything. And yeah, here we are. It's the right time, and I'm making booktube videos. Now, number 6. How do you react when you don't like the ending of a book? Now, this doesn't happen a lot because as a writer, I can sort of put myself in the author's shoes and see why they ended it the way they did, what conclusion they came to, how they came to that conclusion, why it's valid and reasonable for the story. But the endings I tend to not like, and not just going off emotions, because obviously if your favorite character like dies at the end of the book or something horrible happens, then you're going to be devastated. But I'm not talking about emotionally. I'm talking about endings that I don't like tend to be when the author, I feel, in my opinion, that the author did not do their characters justice. And that just irks me. Like if it's an ending that's just slapped on or rushed, or just like you're reading and you're just like, this doesn't make sense. Like this character would never do that. They would never make these decisions. When the author has spent so much time in the book building up the character and their motivations and opening up the reader to the character's brain, and then at the end of the book they just make choices and decisions that are just like, huh? That seemed like came out of left field. Like, where did that come from? That doesn't make sense. Those are the endings that, ooh. And I just have to walk away. I have to walk away from that book, and sometimes I have to walk away from that author. It's a sad story, guys. It's a sad day. Number 7, how often have you taken a sneaky look at the last page to see if it has a happy ending? I'm sorry to admit it, but I do this all the time. I do. And it really depends on the book. It depends on the story. I skim too. I'm a skimmer. I like to skim chapters, pages ahead, especially when you're an e-reader. When you're reading on an e-reader, not when you're an e-reader. When you're reading on an e-reader, it's very easy to do, to skip ahead and go ahead to chapters and to read the last page. And it just doesn't affect me. Maybe that's the writing person in me, the writer in me. It does not, knowing the ending of a book doesn't affect me. Being spoiled for a series doesn't affect me. It's not going to change my reading experience going in, except for the fact that I know the ending. But I'm still going to go on the journey. I'm still going to experience all the same emotions and go through all the same thought processes and so forth and so on. So I know I'm a weirdo. I'm sorry. And last question, number 8. How many people are you going to tag and who are they? All right, Bia, I tag you from Beatrice Manuel. Bree, I tag you from Bree May. Khaki/Caroline, I tag you from Khaki Clay. Key, I tag you from Lock and Key. And Jaret, I tag you. I can't remember your channel name because it's like letters and then yeah. I'll write it right here. It will be posted below. I tag you. And Tamara, I tag you from Tamara Woods. Who else do I tag? So many lovely people. Writing Mime, if you haven't done this tag, I tag you. Tag you, girl. Oh my gosh, my brain is just going a mile a minute. Alyssa Williams, I tag you. I love your videos. So if you haven't done this tag, feel free. And everyone, I tag all of you. Please go do this tag. I would love to watch your responses, and it's a lot of fun. All right, I will see you on day 19 of NaNoWriMo. Bye.
Peace.
Elizabeth Olsen, you are so tagged.